Welcome back. I'm Casey Campbell with Great Lakes Post, as well as WJR 716 Detroit, featured weekly on there. And we are pleased to be joined by the driver of the number 45 Honda for Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing in the NTT Data IndyCar Series. It's Oliver Askew. How's it going, man?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, Casey.
Hey, no problem. Well, first off, you've had an interesting year since the last time we talked on Zoom back in March. I know we caught up at the Grand Prix, but yeah, you've been doing a lot of fun stuff. You didn't have anything to start the year. Yes, you had the Rolex 24, but now this is your third team you're running for this year. But running the last three races for Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing to close out the season. Just talk about how exciting is it to be back in IndyCar? Because one thing that really kind of stuck out to me when we talked back in March, you have unfinished business in IndyCar.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like I still have a lot to give to the series and to Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. I think it's a fantastic opportunity to get back out there at two tracks that I thoroughly enjoy, and one track that I haven't been to before in the Long Beach Grand Prix. So yeah, it's going to be exciting. It's a 3-week stretch, so not too much time to analyze and sit back and enjoy it. I think I'm still going to enjoy it. It's just going to go by so quick, I think. And yeah, it's interesting. I've driven 5 different Indy cars now, and it's interesting to feel, the differences and environments and car feel. And I think it's made me a better driver and more well-rounded driver to this point. And yeah, we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, this is if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time you've driven for. I know you're driving a Honda for the first time this year. I know you were in some Chevy cars earlier this year. What's that? Do you see any differences between them?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I've driven a Honda before, but that was just in a testing environment. I've yet to race a Honda in a competitive environment on a race weekend. So I'm looking forward to it. I believe each engine manufacturer has its strengths and its weaknesses, and I think in particular the Honda seems to have maybe a little bit more bottom end, and maybe the Chevy, a bit more top end. I think that's possible. I think that's why you see the Hondas are a little bit more competitive on the street courses. So yeah, we'll see. I think they're both fantastic engine manufacturers, and as you can see through the years, they've been very close and very competitive with one another.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, kind of going back, the last time I talked to you was at Detroit back in June, and a day later, like maybe minutes after I talked to you, you were going to get ready to go into reuniting with your former team, Arrow McLaren, and then of course filling in for Renus at Road America. What was that experience like? First off, kind of going back to Detroit, what was it like to kind of go back to your former team from last year?
Yeah, that's right. I haven't spoke to you since then. It's been a bit of a whirlwind, especially those 2 weeks, right? To fill in for Felix, who ultimately replaced me at you still got me? Yeah, replaced me at AMSP, and then to fill in for Renus on the following weekend, who has been my rival, my biggest rival in racing for probably the past 8 or 9 years now. So yeah, to jump in that seat in Detroit was a tall task for sure. I've never been to that track before, and we didn't have any practice. We just went straight into qualifying. Qualifying was essentially my practice session, and I felt, first of all, that their car was very quick there on that weekend. Pato won the race there on Sunday, and I felt, surprisingly, I felt pretty comfortable right away. Obviously, it's an environment that I've been in before. It's a car that I've driven before on a street course. So even though I was very cold getting into it, I took it step by step, and didn't over push the limits, and yeah, ultimately we had an engine issue there at the end, and that's what retired us from the race. But I think we were on for about a top 15 there with some pretty decent lap times.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Besides that, I know you've been doing some IMSA stuff with the Andretti team. You've also been doing some driver coaching as well. How exciting? How has that been for you to kind of, give back to kind of, the upcoming drivers and that will probably be in IndyCar one day.
Yeah, so I've been coaching Devlin DeFrancesco this year
Yeah.
In the Indy Lights Championship with Andretti Autosport. It's been great for me because I'm the last champion in that series for that team, right? So I think I have a lot to give and to provide for these young drivers coming up through the ranks, and it's been very enjoyable to work with Devlin. He's very high energy and very enthusiastic, and works really, really hard. And it's been good to see his progression this year, and I think he's going to be on for a couple of wins and podiums here to close the last 3 race weekends.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, I know it's been a crazy. You're kind of like the Josh Berry of NASCAR, but in Indy, or I should say IndyCar. You've been, I know, filling in for all that. And what has that been like? Going into all these all those cars, and now you get kind of get rewarded for doing that with the last 3 races in the 45.
It's good to feel. It's good to feel wanted in the series. It's when someone has an issue with their driver, I'm thankful that I'm one of the first people they think of to help fill in. So it's not the position that I ultimately want to be in. I want to be in the series full time, and I want to be racing full time. Whether it's in IndyCar, that's the ultimate goal at the moment. But we're looking at some different series as well. But it's good to it's been awesome to stay active this year. It's very easy to be forgotten or left on the sidelines in this very competitive driver market and competitive world of motorsports. I've kept confident. I've kept my relationships going and my contacts flowing through the series in the paddock. So I think that's helped.
Yeah, for sure. That was kind of my next question a little bit. What are your plans for 2022? I don't know if you obviously just said you working on it, but obviously the goal is IndyCar, and I know that you've been driving for a lot of teams this year. How have those conversations been going? I know that the ball's kind of rolling for kind of everybody, because this is the time when people start to figure out what they're doing for next year.
Yeah, sure. That process has started, immediately after last year, knowing that it would be difficult to hop in a full-time ride this year. We've been working on this for a while. I have a great support group around me, and we all have the ultimate goal of getting back into a car full time, and hopefully have a long standing relationship with a team and be in a situation where it's something to build on, right? So that would be fantastic. And like I said before, it's the main focus right now is to get into IndyCar full time.
Absolutely. And then got to mention Portland. Of course, that's the next race for the IndyCar series, a track that you've had some success at. How exciting is it to go back to a track that you know very well?
It's great, and it's a track that I've actually driven an IndyCar on. So that was the first time I hopped in an IndyCar was with Chip Ganassi Racing there at the end of 2019. It's going to be, it's a track that has a good mix of both high and low speed corners. It's quite smooth from what I remember. It takes a lot of commitment through that back chicane on the back straightaway there. I think it's turn 9 and 10 or 11, something like that. Yeah. And I need to brush up on my corner numbers, but it reminds me of a karting track. Honestly, it's very narrow and tight, like I said, and I think it suits my driving style. At least I hope so. So I'm looking forward to getting back there in the high V number 45 car for Ray Hall, Letterman Lanigan.
Yeah, of course, Hy-Vee sponsoring that third car this year, all year for that RLL car. You've seen several drivers in there, and Oliver is going to finish it out the season in that car as well. But Oliver, Askew, it's always a pleasure to have you on. I know you've been on.
Thanks, Casey.
Times, but congratulations on this opportunity, and good luck this weekend in Portland. I mean, next week in Portland.
Next week, yes. Thank you very much.